everybody, to episode 280 on ToolBelt. I'm your host, Ty Backer. Thank you for always tuning in. It's another USA. Making our head back home to BFE, Pennsylvania. Something like that, Pennsylvania. We're heading back. So, hung out with the team down in the Greenville market. Hung out with Bobby and Philip, John, and his crew down there. Hope you guys can hear me. It seems like the mic's picking up pretty good, right? Yep. Okay, cool. So, anywho, great week. Got down there, I think we got down there like Tuesday in Greenville, and then had some meetings in Atlanta. Was in Atlanta all day Thursday with Mike T. Got to hang out with him for a little bit. So it was nice to see everybody. Roofing season's kicking off pretty much at all locations. So everybody's ramped up, ready to go. Homeowners are ready to get their homes remodeled, new roof, new siding, new gutters, windows, solar. So the team's pretty pumped right now. It's been a long winter, like I've mentioned several times on the show here. It's just been, and here it is raining again. Of course, we were down there yesterday in Atlanta. I think it was 91 degrees, and here I got all short sleeves on. I'm coming back into PA, and it's 55 degrees, so oh boy. Anyhow, I guess we've got to accomplish a lot. I mean, interviewed some subcontractors, and got some people on the board. Bobby signed some people up today. Pretty pumped about that. Actually went out, interview was on job sites. Some kind of work they did. Quality and safety. Safety is probably one of the biggest things I'd like to probably pay attention to. Obviously, quality is a big deal, but if they're in tune with safety, typically quality falls right behind that. But I don't know if I had a topic for today. It would be pretty much doing whatever it takes. Knowing when to lead from the front, I guess. It's kind of part of the trip. I know we were struggling with some, typical roofing stuff, and so we decided to take a road trip down to Greenville, I guess for a day and a half, a day in Atlanta. And for those of you that might be watching this, if don't be frustrated that we didn't come see you guys or reach out to you when we were in Greenville. It wasn't that kind of trip. It wasn't a hangout trip. It was all work, no play. We did actually get to take the team out to Top Golf last night, and it was nice. It was nice hanging out and fellowshipping and camaraderie and all that good stuff. But I think one of my biggest things is when I travel, I tend to be always, like, if it's over like a day or two, I tend to, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm off, like my rhythm, my regular processes and my scheduling things are off, whether it's my sleeping schedule. And like I said, I can do, especially being away from my family and stuff, and I guess if anyone's listening, like, throw something in the comments, like, if you experience the same thing where you just feel like something's off, right? Like, you're just not fully you, and comment if you got any solutions for that. But and I think I've done pretty well with the amount of traveling that we've done. and trying to stay in the moment. And I have so many different moving parts, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that I struggle with is compartmentalizing all of the different things that I have going on, whether it's work, businesses, family stuff. And I think one of the biggest things that bothered me was, or that may have been, antagonizing me a little bit, was I missed Janet's birthday on Tuesday. We came down here. Now, of course, we didn't do anything over the last weekend, but we're rushing home right now. We left at 4 o'clock this morning to get home at a decent time. If you haven't wished Janet a happy birthday yet, please reach out to her and going through because Vic always seems to be my sidekick. If Jan is not with me, Vic is with me, or Glenn, or somebody. But usually, and John's came with us on our adventures too. There's and everybody at TC Back to Family. So. But Jana, we like if our relationship was any different than what it is today, honestly, I don't think we would be where we're at today. If she was one of those, oh, you work too many hours, or you travel too much and you're away from the kids. We made an agreement, like a pinky swear, long time ago, that pretty much whatever it takes, and she's been beside, in front of me, behind, all on me. But anyhow, so thank you, Gianna, and happy birthday, happy belated birthday, and Mother's Day Sunday, I think this Sunday, so get some time. Taking a short little trip, rushing home, me, Rocket, Jana, we're taking a short little weekend trip together. Well, but irritating me, and just trying to deal with other little things that pop up, and stay in the moment and stay positive and keep everybody pumped up. And if anybody's got any solutions or techniques that they've used, whether it's from packing, the night before, or getting your suitcase out like a week before and slowly putting things into it, and like, what do you take and how much do you take, and if you're going for 3 days, do you take 9 pairs of underwear, 9 pairs of socks? I'm serious question. You know what I mean? Like, because I've traveled a lot and I've tried a lot of different things to make it more comfortable and be present and be there and get rest, plenty of rest. And that's the thing, I'm okay like the first night. I think it's funny because some nights when I get to a place, maybe the first night I don't sleep well, right? Because I'm in a new place. Or I'll sleep really well because of the traveling, but then the second night I can't sleep. My mind's racing, or just in a different place, and things aren't where I'm used to them being. But the one thing that I can tell you that has helped me, a couple of different things. I'll share some tricks that I've done. One is work out. Actually, something came up that quite frankly pissed me off while being on the road, and Vic and I came back to the hotel room, and nothing that anybody did in Greenville, nothing that really has anything to do with, it just kind of, I don't know, stuck in my craw a little bit. So I went to the gym, and I didn't tell you about it, but I ended up going to the gym, and I worked out. Like, it was such a great pump, and I even texted Jan and I said, listen, I need to be pissed off more often before I work out, because it was such a good workout. Like, I did an extra set of reps and went 5 pounds heavier. Like, it was good. But anyhow, that's, so working out, especially like if you're having trouble sleeping, working out, because for me that's a normal part of my routine. I work out almost every day. If I don't walk on the treadmill or jog on a treadmill or lift weights or something like that, and here cold plunges, and I'm actually kind of envious of Jana, because now I got her hooked. So last night she's up to 2 minutes, 44 degrees, tub's down to 44 degrees, and she did 2 minutes. So I'm super proud of her, and I think she's getting the medicinal effects from it, like the health effects from it, because she got arthritis in her shoulder and stuff like that. But it does so many things. For me, it gives me clarity. It helps boost my metabolism. Just so many aches and pains and inflammation, and just for me, it's not a game changer. It's a life changer. Okay, cold plunge, cold showers, things like that. And I think my issue with cold showers is that I've done them for so long because of the Fearless 44. But I still do them when I'm on the road. But my technique for that, especially in Greenville, because y'all think you got cold water in Greenville, but you should come up north to the great state of Pennsylvania, and our well water at home is much colder. I think our water is at least 50 degrees, at least, when it comes out of the spigot. But anyhow, so what I have to do when I'm in Greenville or Atlanta or even Florida is I have to take a really hot shower first, kind of do my business. I wash my hair, soap up, lather up, do all that stuff, but then I rinse with as cold water as I possibly can, and that really helps too. Again, that's trying to repeat the same things I do at home to kind of just make me feel at home. It's normal to me, right? Because I am a creature of habit, so I need to make sure that my toothpaste is the same when I travel. My toothbrush is the same when I travel. My trimmers, like everything that I have, like I've bought duplicates of everything, so I don't have to like necessarily run home, unpack, all of my toiletries. I keep a bag packed. That's one thing that I do. All of my vitamins, I have extra packs of vitamins that I keep with me in my carrying bag. And I know this is kind of off topic a little bit, but for those of us that travel, and I know a lot of people that watch this travel, like Mike Goldenstein, I mean, all of us travel. I mean, we just travel, whether it's to events, to retreats, to, whatever. We just travel. And anybody that just travels once or twice a year, what do you do to take with you? What do you take with you to make you more comfortable? And it's a serious question. But for those of you that travel for work, like I would like to pick Mike Goldenstein's brain, because that dude travels more than anybody that I think I know. I mean, that dude is always someplace. And then when you travel a lot, reacclimating, like when you get home, or don't you reacclimate because you're just getting ready to go back on the road? Because I know when Vic and I think 2 years ago, we traveled weekly. There may have been a week where we would come home for a whole week, but that following week we were going back on the road. And I think for me, the hardest part there was coming back and trying to get my head wrapped around, where I was when I left. And of course, the team helps that. Other projects that I have going in the background that a lot of people aren't even aware of, besides those of you that are super close to me. But I think not that I struggle. I really struggle with feeling. We were, pretty jacked on the way down. Back when we got here, focused, and we stayed focused, and it was mission accomplished. But I think the biggest thing, I don't know if it was that I was just missing being at home this time. Like my bathroom schedule was off. Everything was off. And I guess, but going back to my question, how do you combat your routine when you finally get a routine? Because we haven't traveled that much this past winter. We didn't do the amount of events and stuff besides traveling to TC Backer locations and stuff like that. Which one of the other things is with consistency is staying at the same places, lodging at the same places when we can, because of the normalcy that it gives me. And I think that was one of the good perks of this trip is that the valet people knew us, people, it's kind of like Cheers, go where people know your name kind of thing. So that's one way that we've combated that, to feel normal. and not so much out of place. But you know, dealing with that emotional, you know, I guess the you know, a side topic that's kind of complements is dealing with emotional turmoil. Not that I dealt with it, but I'm going to go off probably on a different tangent here. Is dealing with emotional turmoil, you know, and not always fixated on the 5% that may be going wrong, but trying to stay positive and upbeat, and not taking out, like if I am having a bad day or I do get pissed off, not taking it out on somebody else because maybe I'm in a position or I'm at a place that I don't want to be and I feel like somebody else should be there, you know, and here I'm taking it out on everybody else because maybe I'm not getting my own way, things aren't going the way that I thought they should go, you know, and not you know, letting it ruin my whole day and somebody else's day, but trying to seek the positive and not freezing up. You know, there was a couple points in the trip where we could have just simply said, nah, you know what, let's just go back to the office and hang out with the sales team. You know what I mean? Like, we stuck to the goal, we completed the goal, you know, and with those little things that would pop up every now and then, you know, not getting stuck and not staying fixated on it and moving beyond it. And you know, and I'm using that as an example, not that anything really wrong happened, but being an entrepreneur, or being a manager, or, you know, and even in where as much as I do, especially when I co-pilot or lead pilot, and listening to the shit that I got to deal with, you know, like, you know, all the emails that we receive is somebody else's problem, right? Text messages, somebody else's problem, you know. That's just what we do. We're fixers. We fix things. We fix people's roots. We fix people's problems. We fix people's issues. And sometimes we're people's punching bags. And how do we recover from that? And how do we stay resilient and move past that? You know, and not stay so fixated. For me, I try to think about, okay, okay, done. Phone call's over. Is there something that I need to do to resolve this issue, or is it something I can't do now? Has to wait till Monday. You know, again, compartmentalizing it, putting it back here, moving on, you know, is definitely a skill that I suck at and have sucked at over the years, man. Like, something would happen, I don't care what it is, shoelace would break, dude, day ruined, everybody's day's ruined, and I'm not happy until it is. You know, I just get so jacked up on stuff, like, and I couldn't move on. I couldn't push forward. I would get so stuck in stupid stuff, and it's crazy because, like, major things would happen, and, like, I could deal with that. But, like, something little would happen, like, I'd freak out and just manage and lead and parent and just everything really bad, you know. And I think one thing that's really helped me is watching other people behave poorly. We had a situation come up, and I feel like someone treated me very poorly. Okay, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's just kind of how I felt. But I don't know how many times in my life, in my career, my childhood, my teenage years, where something like that would have happened. And listen, it was minuscule, but so much worse by my actions, by the freaking swift, sharp flick of my tongue, and just slice their throat and go straight for the jugular and just blow it so far out of proportion because I felt like it hurt my feelings, or they were treating me badly, or whatever, right? Instead of taking into consideration that maybe they're in a place, a position, a spot that is making them feel super uncomfortable, right? And unfortunately, that probably has nothing to do with me, but I happened to be there and it was taken out on me. Okay? I've done it. I don't know how many times I've done it. It's just like pulling out in front of somebody. And the person that you pull out in front of, their behavior is so poor and so bad and so ridiculous. That's me. There go I. Okay? And I know how that made me feel. Or some asshole riding your ass going up the highway. Right? That's me. There go I. Right? So I've got to experience it on both sides, and it's kind of like, how do I want to react? How do I want to respond today? Do I want to be graceful and empathetic and hey, no problem. No problem, man. You know what I mean? And today, I'm not perfect at it, but I would say, and I think Vic got to experience it a couple times. He even mentioned it to me. You know, like they basically said to me, "Thank you for being a good example." To me, you know, because people want to be around people that are in control, right? They want to know when a situation pops off. Like, I don't want my team, and I'm sure there's still people on the team today that has experienced me just losing my shit, right? And there is a time and a place to lose your shit, don't get me wrong, because I'm not put on this earth to be a doormat either, okay? Because I'll bend, but eventually I will break. But I know when I need to shut off before I get to that point. And unfortunately, sometimes when I think I'm shutting off and I'm going home to shut off, I end up taking it out on Rocket and Jana. And I got to watch myself and be careful there too, because I've poured into everybody else, and, you know, and empathetic and patient and tolerant. And then I get home, it's kind of like, they'll look at me wrong, man. And I don't even have to say anything. They see it.
You're not alone in that.
They see it.
Yep.
They scatter. You know? And I don't want to live like that. Even my animals sense that shit. My 3 dogs and cats, 3 grandchildren. God, how blessed am I. You know, listen, we get to do this. We don't have to.
Nope.
Yeah, I was thinking that almost the entire time down there. I even texted Jana when we were down there, right before we walked into that big meeting down in Atlanta. You know, normally I'm nervous, a little bit nervous, you know, before a big meeting like that. Dude, I was actually super excited. I've been, leading up to this, I've been excited about that, because, and I think a lot of people would look at it as a negative, but it wasn't. I mean, I was super excited. I couldn't wait for the opportunity that was going to be presented to us. And 5 minutes, I was sitting in the truck. We were at the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
And I texted Jana that we get to do this. We get to do this today.
Yeah.
No matter how bad we think it is, no matter how good we think it is, both of which are temporary. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good days are temporary, the bad days, the mediocre days, that shit's just temporary, right? But you know what? We get to do this. We get to experience this joy. We get to experience this pain. You know, what have I learned from any of this? What has brought me joy? I'm going to seek more of that. What has brought me this pain? Oh, I do not want to experience that. I don't want to do that anymore, right? If I can keep my eyes open and remove the blinders, you know, and start really trying to enjoy life more often, even in times of turbulence, right? Because it's happening for us. It really truly is. We talk about this all the time, and it's like, what does that actually really mean? Like, can you say that to yourself when you're going through shit? Like, practice that. And I have. Like, I know this is happening for a reason. Like, why is this happening for us right now? Why is this? We had a conversation with Mike, and he's talking about, you know, somebody being real super nitpicky about something. I was like, dude, that's great, right? Like, now use that as the standard. I don't know how many times we've come across, you know, people that just, their expectations are so high, you know, and it creates a tough atmosphere. It creates tough, you know, to please, and we're all people pleasers. Most of us are, you know, and of course all we want to do is just make people happy. Those around us, those that we love, those that we work for, you know, and when someone's dissatisfied. But if you can look at it in terms of like, okay, that's the standard, because if we can keep this person happy, and I'm not saying you need to become a doormat or anything like that. I'm speaking more customer, entrepreneurial, you know, customer relations, right? And I'm not saying every customer is a good fit either, right? Sometimes you got to walk through some of them bad ones to realize that it's just not a good fit. But in this particular situation where this is a big customer for us, so it's kind of like, you know, big client, long
In about 10
term,
miles, take the
you
exit
know,
onto Pennsylvania 230
reoccurring
toward East Berlin.
customer, and they have an individual that works for them that their standard just seems to be a little bit higher than everybody else's. Not unrealistic. I don't think it seems unrealistic, but that's the standard, you know, to set for the team. And sometimes there has to be consequences for people's eyes to open up, like send them back out, send them a back charge. You know, there's got to be some form of, I don't even want to use the word punishment, but some kind of ramification, right, for their actions. Like the trip edge, I'd be like, we don't tolerate that. Like, it's going to make you down and make sure everything's tidy, or you're going to spend 3 hours later taking care of this, or you're going to back charge, or whatever this might be. I'm just kind of using that as of setting a standard. That's a good opportunity to set a standard, a learning lesson for the team, and getting over it, right? Get over it. And that's how SOPs and KPIs are born. You know, and that's something else we worked on a lot too this week. You know, as things came up, it was kind of like, and I know this might sound dumb, but Tam wrote us a KPI, or I'm sorry, an SOP for our food drive. So then we can share that with everyone else. Like, this is how we've done it. I'm not saying it's 100%. I'm saying this is a framework in which has worked for us in the past. And here you go. This is how we perform a food drive. So other locations can host their own food drives, right? So instead of running from that and trying to reinvent the wheel every time that we do it, now next year we can look back at the SOP, right? If we appoint someone head of the, here's your SOP, you know, and I'm using the food drive as an example of onboarding a new, whether it be a member on, there's a new position that we just filled with a service technician and service manager at the Greenville location. So Tam wrote out an SOP, and then I looked at it, and then we kind of threw in like how I used to do it with the calendar and stuff like that, so then we could share it with Mike, and then Mike can share it with the new person. Do you know what I mean? But until the pain got great enough of us smacking our head over, you know, on the floor, you know, of training by hearsay, that works when there's 3 people in the organization. But as we grow and go through those growing pains and stay resilient, it's like, hey, why don't we jot this stuff down as we go along here, as things pop up. Now, we got SOPs for everything, but again, something else that we talked about, like, we need to go review some of them. Some of these might be 5 years old, some of them might only be 6 months old, but now that we've hired someone else to do a different position and removed something off somebody's plate that's no longer required to do that position, the SOP is going to change. And we've noticed some of that recently too, where John and James things were kind of overlapping, so people were reaching out to John when now it's in fact James's position to take care of emails and things like that. So, you know what I mean, as our eyes are open to like why this is happening for us, we catch them at like, oh, we got to revamp the SOP. That's why they're still reaching out. That's why so-and-so is still being tagged in these emails, who no longer is in that position because they've moved on to a different and better position. You know what I mean? It's like when you can start having these moments of clarity and stop staying stuck in the negative. Dude, like I can't, like the older I get, man, like I can't stand being around negative people. I can't stand negative shit.
You know, Ty, I think the biggest thing is that wherever our mindset is at that moment, that's what we're looking for. If we're being negative, we're only looking at the negative stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway from it. If you do like you said to do, which none of us are perfect at, but if you do that, if you say, okay, what am I being taught here? You know, what's the lesson here?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Then you're looking for the positive. You're looking, and that's how you find those things to build on the SOBs. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally. But if you're stuck in the negative, there's no solution there. And it's not going to come to you.
Nope.
When you're just bitching and complaining and poking and prodding and belittling, and there's no solution there. You know what I mean? It's like if you can train your mind, it's a skill. It's a skill to look for the positive things. Yeah, there's some negatives, cool. But you're never find the positive or the gotta pass that. And solution. Whether it's writing SOPs, whether it's sitting down with that individual and having an adult conversation without making each other feel like a piece of shit, or you know, acting like you're superior, or you're looking down, you know, at them, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's really truly not even worth it. And one, think about the emotional hangover that you experience by staying stuck in the negative. And why you think, why you're like, why don't I have the energy? I got so much on my, there's so much that I have to do. And a lot of that is because, one, you're not asking for help. Two, you think you can do it better than anybody else, right? And that's negative thinking. That is negative thinking. And then you get resentful at everybody else because they're not helping you. But anytime they've ever tried to help you, you know,
I got this.
in the long run, you just had because,
You look like a dipshit.
yeah, you look like a dipshit. So, you know, and I think we've got to experience a little bit of all this, you know, and I'm tired. I don't know if you're tired, but I'm tired. Not necessarily, I think maybe from being up at 3 o'clock this morning, maybe a little tired.
I'm road weary.
Yeah, road weary.
Yeah.
But, you know, that I think, you know, I'm going to wrap it up on that, you know, and I think the message here is to try to find the positive in everything and stop looking for all the negative shit, especially when it comes to individuals. Right? Stop magnifying somebody's negative. With that positive, whether maybe I'll let them, it's come to an end.
Then take the first right,
you know,
East
but
Berlin
having
Road.
that negative, you're gonna make bad
Right onto East Berlin Road.
is found. So anyhow, you guys have a good weekend. Happy Friday and happy Mother's Day to all of those magnificent mothers out there and some of you fathers. Till then, we'll see you next Wednesday. David Bruno, episode 281, Behind the Tool Belt.